the Hammond Marina. You know, we don't do it in this room very often. It's nice to get to different places. Typically, when they're in a first district, we go to Losmar, so we threw a little curveball this year. We're trying to go to different locations this year, so we're trying to get you guys into schools and places that we don't normally go to. So thanks, everybody. It's good to see everybody out here. As we normally do with Mayor's Night Out, we start off with introducing the department heads, so let's go ahead and start off like we do everyone. First off, this is Alex from my office. Alex is actually the head of Constituent Affairs.
Yes. If you guys need anything, I have business cards. You can call me tomorrow.
Constituent Affairs is located in Hammond City Hall.
Mayor's office.
Right. Cool. Thanks.
Yep. Sac Louis Legal Aid.
Jeff Smith, Port Authority.
Megan Flores, City Controller.
Chris Campbell, Information Technology.
Jim Talon, Park Department.
Andrea Lewis, United Neighborhoods, Inc.
Juana Miller, Community Development.
Jaime Prieto, Water.
Brian Poland, City Planning.
Ron Novak, Environmental Management.
Scott Miller, Chief of Staff.
Kevin Smith, Corporation Counsel.
Ann Taylor, Planning and Development.
Dean Button, Engineering.
Jack Smith, Sewer Maintenance.
Mylon Krasinski, Sanitary District.
William Short, Hammond Police Department.
Bernie Grizzlia, Hammond Fire Department.
Sharon Daniels, Personnel and College Bound.
Felix Gonzalez, Public Works.
Kelly Kearney, Inspections Department.
Nicholas Farrell, Code Enforcement.
Juan Moreno, Economic Development.
Eileen Ibarra, Special Events Coordinator.
Hi, Eileen Martinez, Special Events Coordinator.
Eileen, yeah. Okay, so it's good to see everybody here. Everybody on this stage, somebody's up here that can answer your question today. We've been doing Mayor's Night Out every year since I first became mayor. I first became mayor in 2004. We started doing them 11. We did these once a month, actually. We took 1 month a year off, and we didn't think that was fair because we have 6 districts, and we'd only do one district one time a year, and that wasn't fair. So we switched, I don't know, at least 10 years ago, we switched to 6 times a year. We do it in each district. We're here in the first. Seems like we're going in numerical order now. So we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 this year. So welcome to the first. Good to see everybody. Mayor's Night Out's an open format. You ask questions. We give it to Eileen. Eileen reads off the written question. Right now, where are the questions in the back? Christy's back there with the questions. We read the written question. If you have a verbal question about the written question, you raise your hand. We come to you. Okay? I want to thank the council people in attendance. I see Councilwoman Janet Vanez. Good to see you, Councilwoman. I see a 2nd District Councilman, Al Salinas. Thank you very much, Councilman. That's all I noticed right now. Oh, they're in the back. Oh, Dan Spitali, Councilman at Large. Good to see you, Councilman. Thanks for coming, everybody. It's always a good turnout in the 1st District. So let's go ahead and get started.
First question. What is the latest on BP leaks and notifications to the public?
Cool. Good question. Ron, do you want to start off? Where is Ron? Hi. This is Ron Novak, Hammond Department of Environmental Management. Ron's with the City of Hammond. You're the longest serving city employee, correct?
That I know of.
I haven't heard anybody top that. So
I don't think so.
Zeke's in your ballpark. Is Zeke, Captain Hinojosa, is he?
46? 46. 54.
Okay. Yeah, Zeke's number 2. Yeah. So it's good to see you, Ron. Thank you for spending your career with us. Ron, people don't realize about Ron. Ron's a trained lawyer also. He's worked with the City of Hammond for a number of years, doing a good job in environmental management. So BP, I just had lunch today with the Mayor Whiting. BP was a big topic of discussion between the two of us. I could tell you Mayor Whiting wasn't getting updates when BP had their latest leak, just like obviously the Mayor of Hammond wasn't getting updates. It seemed like it was a big vacuum. Nobody was talking. True?
Right. The issue with BP is getting information for emergency responders, because responders are the first people online in regards to responding to citizens. And in this particular case, this release and the information was going through BP's system before they would release any information to the responders. That's put us at a very big disadvantage. because it's important to know what product we're dealing with, an estimate of how much the quantity is, where the wind direction is, who's being impacted there. My understanding is, the mayor, you sent a letter to BP?
Yes.
In regards to getting that information to our emergency responders?
There's been no response to the letter,
Getting,
which is consistent, by the way.
getting information to emergency responders and environmental folks so that we can advise the public of what is taking place. In our case, we made a request to BP on the day of the incident to get the safety data sheet. We didn't get it until 3 days later.
Well, let me go to the fire chief. I know Bernie, Chief Grisolia was out there that day. It seemed like it was located west of Amico Park. You agree with that? Just west of Amico Park?
It's in the Indiana Tank Field, which is just a little bit east of Amico Park.
Just east of it. I'm sorry, just east of Amico Park.
Yes, Mayor. We had several calls that morning of smelling odor of gas. We did respond to several calls in the area. We did assure the residents they did not have a gas leak themselves. Unfortunately, the communication from BP was lacked, and we're hoping to have better communications in the future.
I know we've had 2 experiences with BP this year where you've been involved as a fire chief, and this is your first year as fire chief, and we've had 2 major BP incidents since you've been chief, right?
Yes, absolutely, Mayor.
I know the first one was the fire, the flare-up we had. Everybody in this part of the city saw it. Everybody in the Chicagoland area saw it. I know you were actually talking with the emergency responders during that emergency, correct?
Yes, I was on scene at the base there at the headquarters there, and it was scary. It was scary for the neighborhood, and we're hoping.
But this last one that we had, Chief, seemed like nobody was talking. It seemed like all the openness that we had on that first incident was February, if I remember correctly.
Exactly, yes.
This last one, nobody was talking. It was just like they shut the door on everybody.
It really was like that, Mayor. We're hoping to have better communication. We've been stressing with them we need better communication. Unfortunately, they state that they have a chain of command that they have to follow before they can release any information. Actually, that morning, we probably had 30-plus calls at our front office for odors of smell, what was going on. And unfortunately, we don't have the answers. So it's a tough situation for the city of Hammond. So we're hoping to have better communication.
I was up here, and it was extreme. This part of the city, it felt like if you lit a match, it would blow up.
Correct.
It was that strong.
Yes.
I've never experienced anything that strong, personally. It smelled like a gas station times 50, and it was everywhere. And as bad as it was for us, it was part of our city, obviously this part of the city, but Whiting had it pretty much in their entire downtown. Mayor Whiting, who's an ally of BP, is just as furious as we are, because he was getting the same reception that Ron was getting, and the chief was getting.
Yes.
The Mayor Whiting, it's his city.
Yeah, same thing. I spoke to Chief of Whiting, Mr. Harbin, Fire Chief Harbin. It was the same thing. He had lack of communication. So, and it depends which way the wind was blowing too, Mayor. Sometimes they had sent in Chicago. It traveled to East Chicago. Mr. Novak could tell you about it. It was just a bad situation for everyone. So hopefully we're going to deal with it in the future.
Follow-up question on that? Okay, hold on. Where's my microphone? Oh, there it is. Hi, hi, sir.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. In the communication part, I think I've signed up for that Smart 911 or 311 from Lake County.
Okay.
I've never received a message for any of these emergencies. Is there something that Hammond can do to
We are actually, that's a great question. We actually are working on this, and it's complicated, but we're working on it. Chris, you know a lot more about this than I do. This is Chris, he's the head of IT.
Hey, hello. So after that Amico event, we started working with a company called Everbridge, and it's going to allow us to send a text, email, recorded call, but you have to opt in. So in the coming months, we're going to do a blitz, let you know that this is out there. You go to a website, you put in your information, and you'll be on our list. And you can opt in for, like traffic stuff or, weather emergencies and stuff like that.
So we imagine, and it's
soon.
Not free, of course, so we have to come up with the money for it, and then we got to roll it out, but we are working on something, Hammond, within our city.
Smart 911?
No.
I'm not sure.
No, that's not us. That's county.
But Hammond is included, so I get the weather messages.
Cool.
But I don't get.
But we don't control that. I mean, that's not run by the city. Yeah, guys, Alex, somebody's got to. Hi, miss. Hold on. How you doing, ma'am? Nice to see you, Carla. We have to do. By the way, we're doing this for the TV so that people could hear you. Because I could hear you fine. It's people at home.
Yeah,
So.
I understand it.
still have a little bit of a cold, so.
I'm over here. I'm fine.
Mayor,
I don't
can
know.
you release, can you release the letter that you sent to BP? We'd like to
Yes, ma'am.
read what you said, because
Yes.
I think it was kind of around the December 26th or 27th. So
Yeah.
I'd like to, we'd like to put that on social media,
No
if you
problem.
don't mind.
Can we-
I have the copy
Can we
of
do
it.
that tomorrow?
I have.
We'll
a
do
copy.
that tomorrow. We'll put it on Go Ahead.
If you
That's
have
no problem.
Okay, if you could send it to me, that would be even better.
You can
Okay,
put off
you know
Go
my
Ahead.
email.
I
Yeah,
know.
it's my question. I did talk to Lake County, and they said, BP said it wasn't a hazardous incident, so that they did notify fire department and the fire chiefs. That's what Lake County said. They got the message at around 9:30 a.m. on the 26th from BP. It's up
Okay.
to BP to send out the message. It's their plan, it's their accident. They sent it out, and it did go to Lake County, and it did go to the fire chiefs, and it did go to police and schools and that. But BP maintained it wasn't hazardous, so that's why Lake County didn't put it on the Smart 911.
Okay.
Now, I have found out, I did my research, it is benzene, 10 pounds, that was leaked in a mixture of dirty gas and oil, DGO. So that's official, that's the report that was sent to the Indiana Department of Natural Resources. It's also the two causes of the pipe leak. What was leaking was sent to the EPA National Recovery Center in Washington. But,
Okay.
Mayor, I'm going to wrap it up. We need to know East Chicago's mayor, Hammond's mayor, and Whiting's mayor have to get together and communicate and get the message out what's going on.
Okay.
I know you don't know exactly what's going on, you're not BP, but let us know. If
Yeah.
it's dangerous, we have to leave the homes, we stay in the homes, whatever. Thank
Promise
you.
you. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. I don't know if it makes you feel good. I had a meeting this week with Mayor Copeland about a number of issues, BP one of them. I also had a meeting this week with Mayor Speedbar from Whiting about a number of issues, BP being one of them. So we are talking, and I appreciate your comments. And I think that's a good idea about the BP letter we wrote. It's not private. It was sent to them. I know I copied the councilman, so I have no problem releasing it. So thank you. All right, let's go to the next question. Is there any other follow-ups on that? BP issue? Hi, how you doing, sir?
Hi, thank you.
Hi.
I was just wondering, given that they are stonewalling you on letting you know this information, what is your plan for the inevitable, as we feel, the inevitable next leak?
Agreed.
Have you spoke with the Environmental Protection Agency on this issue? Have you let BP know that that will be our next call? We're just going to call EPA and or OSHA and have them come investigate
Yeah.
you. You don't want to tell us what's going on? We're going to
I
play
agree.
hardball.
I'm
I'd
not
like
trying to
see-
minimize what you're saying, sir. I'm not.
Yeah.
Don't take this the wrong way. I'm just jaded.
I just
I'm a
feel-
little bit jaded because I've been in government for a long time, and I don't really see environmental standards getting tougher in the next 4 years.
But they could send down
But if it was dangerous.
an inspection.
Yes, sir. If they would
And
be
I
willing
think
to do
all
so.
companies fear that.
Listen,
with
I'm not
OSHA or-
dismissing what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm not. Okay. I'm just skeptical of what would actually
So
happen.
you haven't talked with them?
With who?
The Environmental Protection Agency?
They're in
regarding
flux
BP?
right now because there's new bosses taking over and the old bosses are going away. It's really like a
Are you
weird.
planning on staying on that and contacting them?
Yes, sir. Yes,
All
sir.
right.
I promise. And the thing that with BP, there's a number of people in this room that are very concerned about the environment. I know that. Okay. One of the things that BP is trying to sell to America, to the region, to a lot of people, because there's billions of dollars at stake, is this hydrogen hub. They're trying to sell us that this technology that they're talking about, it's cutting edge, but it's going to be clean, and we know what we're doing, and trust us. Just trust us. And they can't even get their normal operations straight. They're messing up on a daily basis, well, twice this year, where it affects business in the entire region, and they're saying, trust us with the hydrogen hub, though. The hydrogen hub is going to be fine, but we can't do our normal job the right way, but the hydrogen hub is going to be just perfect. Listen, I think the hydrogen hub is an interesting idea, but if BP is going to be the one that does it, they should get their stuff straight. The plant, the one that they run every day, they don't. It seems like they don't have control of the situation, and they're not talking to the public safety people. I'm not an expert on how that place works, but the chief knows a lot about it, and they're not talking to the chief. It's not a good look, sir. I'm not happy with them, and I promise you, I'm not like giving them a pass.
I think the community would like to know your plan of action rather than being stonewalled when the next leak happens. Just let us know a little bit about how you will respond to the next.
I mean, part of it is we're talking right now in the community. We're here Mayor's Night Out. So, I mean,
What I'm saying is we need to perhaps bring in some bigger guns from other agencies.
Agree. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir.
As part of that incident, I've got good contacts with the Indiana Department of Environmental Management, their emergency responders. As soon as I was notified, I contacted them, see if they were going to investigate, come down and make an inspection. We go through the chain of command. We go to the state, then the state goes, and I was informed that they did respond and file a report with the National Response Center. So we were in the chain trying to find and extract information, whether it's from the company, whether it was from the state, whether it was from EPA, as to what's going on, because we're the front line, and the fire department, police department, they're in the front line. They need to know what to tell the public. So getting information is really crucial for us, and I pretty much know the tools to go through in regards to finding information, so we pass it along, first of all to the emergency responders, and then immediately to the public if there's any danger whatsoever. And in this particular case, I know it was responded to a report filed with the National Response Center, and that tells you that a reportable quantity, which is in the federal statute, has been exceeded. And in this particular case, it was benzene, a known carcinogen. Now, only 10 gallons, but 10 gallons goes a long way.
Very strong. Thank you for the question. Yeah. Wait for the microphone, guys. Hi.
Hi, my name is Lisa Valley. I'm the organizing director for Just Transition Northwest Indiana, and we actually have a campaign in regards to the hydrogen hub and CO2 pipeline. I'm glad you brought it up. I just want to make a quick comment. As part of the hydrogen hub, which we should absolutely question with all the money they're investing in it and the fact that it won't actually reduce emissions, carbon emissions in our area, along with that pipeline or that hydrogen hub comes hundreds of miles of carbon dioxide pipelines that will go from the BP Whiting refinery all the way through 5 other counties. So I hope in your, trying to communicate with BP, you might begin having conversations about that as well. It will certainly affect the city of Hammond, potentially the drinking water supply.
We've had conversations with BP about that, and what you're saying is exactly true.
Thank you.
Yeah, what you're saying is exactly true. BP's got a lot of money behind it. They got federal money behind it. They're talking actively to governments in this area about this project, and they're selling it as a way to reduce global warming. And obviously, there's a lot of people concerned about it. And I think that if I was BP, I'd want to operate with peak efficiency at my plant and making sure I was talking to the local mayors and the local fire departments, making sure everybody understood what was going on so that we didn't have to worry about what it'll be like when the hydrogen hub comes, if it ever happens. I think that's an absolute legitimate point. I appreciate you bringing it up. All right, let's go on to the next question.
What is the status of 141st Street in North Hammond? There's construction going on this week. Is it permitted?
No, we shut it down. Councilman Kowinski and I were in contact today about 141st Street. We have a developer that's not on the same page as the city, and it's concerning a piece of property that's got contaminants. And they have to be on the same page with us. And if they're not, they're going to get shut down. And if we have to go to court to shut them down, we'll go to court to shut them down. Kelly, could you jump in on this? This is Kelly Kearney. He's the head of Inspections Department.
Hello. Yes, we got some information this morning that there was a contractor out there doing work. We're not sure who this contractor is. Sent an inspector out there. By the time we got out there, everybody was gone. He did issue a stop work order. Our intention is to cite the owner, get the information from the contractor, and then cite them also. We're not sure if they're licensed, bonded, insured, or if should even be out there. The permit they did have, does not cover the work that they are doing, so it's not permitted work.
And this is the type of property where I know it's something that HDEM is very concerned with, is them leaving the property with trucks and carrying contaminants on the wheels of the trucks and taking it through the neighborhood. And we've expressed that concern to them, and it appears that they're not that impressed with our concerns. And that means, in my opinion, we got to get law involved, and we got to file some type of injunction possibly. Kevin, could you help me out here?
Sure, Mayor. Good evening.
This is Corporate Counsel Kevin Smith.
Thanks, Mayor. Kelly mentioned, our first line is always citation and hopeful compliance. However, this is a pretty concerning situation, given, as the mayor pointed out, the environmental concerns on that property and legacy issues on that property. So we're going to keep a real close eye on it, and if there's continued activity, we will. The law department will take the next step, which will be to try to get an injunction in court against any work being done there. So hopefully tomorrow, Kelly Kearney and his staff will get some information from the owners, and he'll pass it along to me, and we'll make a decision along with direction from the mayor.
I have a thumb rule as mayor. I should never know your address. I should never know your address. If I know your address, something's wrong at your place, okay? Like when you say 3141st, I'm like, yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's not good. That means I've had multiple meetings about this property, multiple meetings with the developer, multiple warnings to the developer about the dangers of what they're trying to do, and then they straight up do it, like they did today. What's that? Oh, yeah? I didn't know that about it, I mean, for the record. Okay. I didn't know the address because of that allegation, okay? I knew it because we have multiple meetings on it, so I don't want this to get in crazy rumors or anything, so anyway, I think hopefully we answered that question about 31141st. We are somewhat limited in what we could talk about, but I'm very aware of what you're concerned with, whoever that question was. I'm very aware of what you're concerned with. We're having meetings on it actively. We had meetings on it today. Multiple text chains going back and forth. The city's all over that situation. Is that a fair statement, Kelly?
Yes, it is.
We're all over it. Nick?
Yep.
Who, by the way, is it from North Hammond? He grew up basically in the park.
I live 2 blocks from that address.
Okay. We know this piece of property well. They're not going to get away with what they're trying to get away with, okay? So, thank you.
What is the status on the property located at 612 Burton Court? Current condition is in disarray, and can the department responsible give an update?
I don't know that address, so that's somewhat positive, right? That would be messed up if I knew Burton Court's address also. So it's hard to answer a specific question about a specific piece of property without knowing more. Now, what I find in situations like this, I may not know the property, but I look over at these guys, and they're like, Burton Court, I know that one. All right, so Kelly? Nick?
Yeah.
All right, what's up?
I believe like 612 Burton Court, we were at that property address. The developer purchased it and then had to combine lots, and they were settling on an address. It was on the demo list, kind of ran out of money and then sold the property again, so we had to start that process over. But the new individual who owns it is supposed to be, which one are you talking about?
612 Burton Court.
Is that the one?
It's the green building that's been vacant for 18 years.
Okay. We do have a vacant property registration requirement now, so if the owner registers it as vacant.
Is there a sticker on it?
No, we do not issue stickers any longer, no.
Okay, well, that property has been inhabitable for over 18 years.
Yeah, and then mostly we have notes in the system
So
under
my
the
question
address.
to the mayor is, how long does this have to take before some action's taken?
I'm going to go on the record and say I think Hammond's one of the most aggressive communities in Northwest Indiana with the number of demolitions we've done. If we don't know it, I'm surprised at that. And
well, we're concerned. The neighbors and everybody are concerned because the houses up there are so close together.
No, I'm not
It's
dismissing.
an old wooden 2-story house.
I'm not dismissing what you're saying, sir.
And you had a fire at the other property that he was talking about years ago. So the problem is these are old homes, and we don't want to have a whole block go up like you had in California when the wind starts blowing out of the west. So that's what our concerns are in the neighborhood, safety.
But you're like bringing up a piece of property. You could rattle off another address in the city and start talking about it and ask me questions about it. I'm still going to be looking at you the same way. Like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, you'll remember the property now, right?
Yes, sir. I mean, I'm looking at it right now on Google Earth, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. But, we're aggressive. I hate.
Well, I know you're aggressive, but Like I said, this has been 18 years. I'd like to know how many other properties
Yes,
in the
sir.
city of Hammond are not identified
Agreed.
as habitable because
You're
they
doing
don't
the right
pay
thing.
taxes.
You're doing the right thing by being here and
You know?
bringing it up and lighting me
Yeah.
up a little bit, but that's how you get crap done.
Mhm.
Because everybody's writing it down, and I'm going to go tomorrow, and they're going to be like, that at Burton Court, like, I got a plan for it. That's how it happens, sir. Well, you're doing the right thing. I'm sorry that it's taken this long, but I promise you what you're doing right now
No, but I
is how you get it
appreciate the
done.
departments. They do a good job
Yes, sir.
with
I mean, I believe-
getting
I don't
on the
want you living next
properties
to
and
that.
taking care of them, but this is something
Yes,
that's
sir.
been
I
out there
promise
for a
you.
long time.
I
too.
promise you, we'll look at it. And I get in trouble from the people that are like nostalgic to Hammond because I want to knock everything down, sir. So you're talking to the right guy. They get pissed off at me because they're like, you can't knock that down. And I'm, okay. If this is not serving a purpose, if it's dangerous, you're talking to the right guy, okay? I promise you, we'll follow up on this. Did you write that down by chance so I can follow up with you? Thank you. We'll follow it up, okay? Could you make sure I get a copy of that one, guys? Thank you, sir.
The address.
But like, that's why you do Mayor's Night Out. It sucks when you're the mayor and somebody's pissed off like that, and I appreciate you bringing it up because I know that address now, you know, and that's how it works. This is why we do it. So thank you.
The address at 1544 148th Court is running a car repair shop. 15 to 20 cars are parked there with no license plate and all Illinois cars.
Did we used to have, is this the one right off Calumet? Oh, this is by Knoll? Okay. Because we had that one right off Calumet that was similar to, yeah, okay. This is not a proper use of residential zoning. Is Brian up here? Hey, Brian. Did you get that address?
Yeah.
Brian's our
can
city
you
planner.
Repeat the address, please.
1544 148th Court.
Hope that guy's not watching. Go ahead and TV. Want to grab a microphone? This is city planner Brian Poland. Brian is, one of the things he does is enforces zoning across the city. Brian's been with the city of Hammond for a long time also.
Yes.
Oh,
35.
Congratulations. Thank you. So,
And with that, I'm not familiar with this property.
that's great. But we have it. We're going to write it down. We're going to follow it up. How about code? Anybody over there? You guys know?
Not trying to make an excuse, but it's a little off the beaten path. It's only about a block long, just west of East Chicago.
Let me think. Just
South of-
explain it to me. So you're in an old parking lot.
South of Hoffman,
Okay.
right south of Bishop Knoll.
I got you. It's
I'm
that
not-
little, is it like a little cutout court? Right by
Pretty
Bishop
much,
Knoll?
yeah. Yeah, it's, like I said,
Okay.
it's off the beaten path.
I got you. I
Well-
know exactly. I think I used to know somebody that lived on that
Right
court.
off White Oak.
Right.
We'll be on this first thing in the morning, just as the other addresses, we'll get the research going and.
That's
and-
definitely a residential area though, Kelly.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So like,
Absolutely.
you can't run a business in a residential area?
No, no.
So like, we are going to follow this up. This is why you do Mayor's Night Out, so you can put complaints down and bring it to our attention. So does anybody want to follow that up? You don't have to, by the way, because we have cameras, and the cameras will point at you, and then they'll be like, that's the person. So you don't have to do that. We will follow it up, and we'll be that person. Thank you. All right, let's move on.
What happened to the trucking warehouse at 141st in Columbia? Walmart used to use it.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Walmart moved out of there. Ann? Where are you? Juan? Ann? Hey, what's up, Ann? I
Hi,
know
Mayor.
that was the trucking terminal in West Point,
West Point.
and it was the north corner of West Point, basically. And
Got
it
it.
seemed like, first off, it's an amazing location for any
It really is.
logistics company. So, like, if that one moved out, I'm optimistic about somebody moving in pretty quickly.
Absolutely.
But do you know anything more?
I don't know. I know the owner is that Crown Realtor that's covering that building.
Juan?
Yeah, we can look into that. Yeah, the city's running out of larger industrial parcels
Right.
like that. So if
But
it's
it's-
available,
It's weird that,
yeah,
because that's
that they just kind of go out one night and you
and
don't
it's so
see
prime.
trucks
You're
there.
literally like right off
Mhm.
the toll road. I mean, that's a perfect location.
It really
So-
is. Yep, we're on it. We'll
Juan,
look
have
into
you heard
it.
anything?
Yes, Juan Moreno, Economic Development. Everything's stated, so I'll just write off the pigtails off that. Walmart Logistics still owns that property, and they're in the process of leasing out to another truck terminal. And I reached out to the new leasee, however, with no avail. I'll follow up with that tomorrow morning.
Cool. But it sounds like we got some information anyway. That's good.
Yeah, I have I'm sorry. I have contact information for the interested party.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Juan. Any follow up on that? Cool. Thank you.
This is just a comment on the same sheet. Horseshoe Casino, El Dorado Gaming, regarding Horseshoe Casino. Revenues have plummeted since they took over and hurt city's money. They have not put a dime into remodeling, customer service, valet parking, no coat check, no drinks for slots. There's a few additional comments.
Yeah.
It's just a comment.
Oh, is there a name? Not. Never mind. Okay. So what do I have to say to that? I'm not thrilled with what's going on with the gaming situation. I wasn't thrilled when they proposed relocating Gary's boat to the highway, and I fought it publicly. And then after that, I ran for Congress and lost, and a lot of people said I had a lot to do with it. I'm not complaining because I did my job as mayor. I knew what it would do to us if they changed it away from riverboats and they allowed us to go off a highway basically with land-based casinos. They didn't care what I thought. People went to jail over that deal. They made a dirty deal, and they relocated Hard Rock Casino where it is right now. It's a dirty deal. People went to jail. People are in jail right now because of that dirty deal. But it doesn't change the fact that Hard Rock is there kicking our butt right now. It's a fact. I wish Horseshoe would respond differently, but they're not. What am I supposed to do? They're a private company. The fact that Indiana allowed a company to have 4 different licenses in Indiana is probably not good for us because they could take a hit in Hammond and do well in other locations, and they're happy as a company. We're not happy in Hammond because they're sort of sacrificing us right now. It's not right. But I promise you, those licenses come up for review from the state of Indiana, and what the mayor of the host community thinks matters a lot to the Indiana Gaming Commission. I've learned that over the years, and I'm not happy about what's going on. Not, but they're a private company. If they're willing to not make as much money, there's not much I could do about it. So if you want to follow that up, I don't know if anybody, but there was a general comment, it appeared. It wasn't really a question, so. All right, cool. Hi, sir. How you doing? Sure.
Yeah, that was my question.
Oh,
but
thank you.
You've probably seen the revenue Horseshoe was bringing in $36 million a month. Now it's down to $19 million. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And it's basically El Dorado Gaming. And I agree with you on all the licenses then. They should give it to somebody that cares.
Agreed.
Because they don't care about this community at all.
They were literally writing us off. We're like an accounting error for them. Just like, round it off. I agree. It's not great. It's not great at all. And I'm happy that we're still able to do business as a government, taking a massive hit. We've taken a massive hit, and we're still doing it, which is nice, but it would be a lot easier if we were back to normal over there. But we may not ever go back to those days, sir. We may never. And quite frankly, if somebody else bought that boat, another company that wanted to make money, I think we'd do well. It's a great location, but that company's willing to write it off. They are. It's crazy to me. Sorry, Scott.
No problem. I was just going to mention that we have maintained communication, though, with Horseshoe. We continue to share the kind of feedback you're giving with their leadership in an effort to try to get them to move.
This is what makes it tough.
Yeah.
The local people are great. So the hard part of my job is this, sir. I get to know Bill, who runs Horseshoe, and Dan, and they're region people. They live here. They care about Hammond. They're great people. They're doing their best. But it's like if I put you in charge of a business and you came in and then I was like, good luck with your business. And you're like, are you going to invest money to help me out? And I'm like, no. You got to make that happen yourself, sir. Good luck, though. And you'd be like, okay. And you try your best, but you're literally crippled because you're not able to do what you can because we're not giving you the tools to do it. So it's hard for me to get mad at the local guys because they're good people. And I bet you if they were being honest with me, they would be like, God, these guys are driving me crazy. They're not giving us any money. They're not letting us do this. They're not letting us do that. We can't even do commercials. I know they'd say that to me because they're real people, but they can't because they get fired. It sucks. It does. But I promise you I'm not happy. I promise, we've done this a number of times where we've given the blessing, and I'm not happy about what's going on there. And I'm going to make it clear, I promise you. And I will release that letter to the community so you can read it, okay? Thank you for the question, for the comment. It's important what you brought up. So,
Who was responsible for the decimation of the vegetation all around Wolf Lake this past fall? Did an environmental and/or natural resource organization sanction this? Are there plans to replace the vegetation lost?
I imagine that was the Hammond Port Authority, to be honest. Hi, Jeff Smith.
Hi.
Robertsdale resident.
Yes. It was me.
Former fire chief. spent your career fighting fires in the city. Now you're running the Hammond Port Authority. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, it was me. Well, no, I didn't do it personally. The guys that worked for me did it. We got many complaints during Festival of Lakes Fishing Derby this last year because we have a fishing derby and 90% of the people were huddled up together, elbow to elbow, and weren't able to get to the shoreline to fish. So this year, after the fest, I had talked to the guys at Wolf Lake, and we kind of came up with a plan that we were going to cut some of it down. And once we did it, we had people calling here thanking us. I had people that I know in the neighborhoods were thanking us for cutting it down. I know that I found out later we did take some of the native species out. They will grow back. We are going to get the shoreline treated from now on, from the boat launch behind the pavilion all the way to the north to the greenhouse, and then all the way through Forsyth Park. I met with a company out of Walkerton, Indiana, who does our treatment now on the west side of the toll road and some treatment south of the boat ramp behind the pavilion. They are the company that's going to do it. I took a tour. He had never been through Forsyth Park in about 20 years when they did the islands, when the Army Corps redid Wolf Lake and put the little islands out there. I went through with him. He told me that I was aggressive in doing it, but getting rid of it will be so much easier to treat the Phragmites now, to keep them under control. We are going to let patches of the native species grow back, so we will have stretches of native species, but stretches of shoreline so the people are able to at least view the lake. One reason is to view it after the lake couldn't be seen anymore. Some of the trees that we took down, 3 of them by the dog park, had been attacked by the beavers, because the beavers are getting smart now and they figured out how to climb chicken wire, because they used to just chicken wire about the first 16 inches, and now they got a tree right across the street from Mr. Button's house on 119th that's ready to fall into the bike path, so we're taking that one out. 2 of the other trees that we took down have been attacked by some kind of native or invasive weed. There was limbs on the tree, but no branches, no leaves. The gentleman from Stantec worded it as choked out. So those 5 trees, yes, we did take those down. Yes, we did cut down the Phragmites. Yes, we did probably we definitely cut down some native species. But there is a plan that with the Stantec Corporation company out of Walkerton that we're going to treat the whole shoreline and let native species grow back. And we're going to try to replace some of it on our own also, along with planting some trees that we get donated to us every year from a local funeral home.
Thanks, Jeff. Follow up to that? Okay, go ahead. Hi.
Hi, that was my question. My name's Peggy Berryman. I live in the Water Gardens.
Hi, Peggy.
Now, the Phragmites, as you spoke about, are actually desirous in a lake like Wolf Lake because they contribute to pulling heavy metals out of the water. Now, you may have had them cut down and you'll put some back, but it's going to take years and years and years to make that lake look like it did. I would hope that in the future, before such butchery is done around a natural resource, that you would speak with somebody, get an expert out there prior to the decimation.
Right, thank
It's
you.
just a travesty.
Many people told me it looks nice.
I had somebody tell me it looked good too, because now he could see the new fire station from his house. I like to see red-winged blackbirds on grasses waving in the wind in the spring. It's subjective, but if you're going to have a conservation area, it should be treated as such, not a resort.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Next question.
Why does it cost $200 to change the name on the water bill? This is coming from a widow.
It's normal policy to have a fee to change names. Why it's $200? We raised the price a few years ago. I want to say maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and that was pretty much to cover the cost of the meter itself. You wouldn't believe how many renters, homeowners, ex-homeowners steal the water meter and scrap it for the brass and the materials on it. So to answer your question, I will speak with my boss as well as our board to see if we can switch that policy to where if you are a widow,
Are
if
you
your
in
name,
here, whoever asked that question? Are you in here? Do you mind raising your hand so Alex can find you? All right, do me a favor. If she's watching from home, contact Alex. Alex, how do we get a hold of you at work?
So you can call, yeah, there's no name on here. You can call my office. I can give you the phone number if you want my card. I have a card as well.
Yeah, 853-6302.
Yep, 853-6302. Yep, that's correct.
Okay. You going by your married name or?
No, I'm sticking with my maiden name.
All right. I get confused. All the young ladies in our administration are getting married and changing their names. So, okay, cool. So do me a favor, contact Alex Tahura, 853-6302. Explain your situation. We'll see if there's something we could do. Okay.
Eileen thinks she remembers who it was, so I gave her
Good.
my card to give it
Good.
to her. Yep.
Thanks.
Holman Avenue is now down to 1 lane in both directions to accommodate the bicyclists. How much tack dollars?
It's not to accommodate. Because it's written in the question doesn't mean that's fact. Okay. It wasn't to accommodate the bicyclists. There's a bike trail 2 blocks away. It was done to slow traffic down so that we could develop downtown Hammond. So, I mean, you're allowed to put anything you want in your statement. So,
How much tax dollars are these cyclists contributing?
all right, let's move on. Ann, where are you? Hi.
Yes.
Could you talk about downtown Hammond? Like where we came up with this crazy harebrained idea?
This crazy idea to do a road diet in
Right.
Hammond. Yeah,
Right.
it's basically to slow traffic down. We were having cars speed down our major thoroughfare in downtown, Holman Avenue, at 50, 55 miles per hour.
And like we have people that aren't as mobile that want to cross Holman Avenue and go watch a play.
It was a challenge to get across.
And you have
Holman
cars
Avenue.
going 45 plus,
Mhm.
going right in front of them. It's not super comfortable if you're not fleet of foot to walk across the street like that. So people just chose over the years to stop going downtown.
Yep.
But like the traffic was flying through.
That's
so we
correct.
talked to this famous national
Urban planner, Jeff
right?
Speck, who gave us a wonderful master plan in 2019, and we've been following it.
To the
we've-
letter. This
to
guy
the letter,
literally
yeah.
came to our city, hired a bunch of people, worked with us. He's
Mhm.
a best-selling author.
Yeah.
And then he just came back a couple weeks ago,
Yep, 2 weeks ago. He's still engaged in our downtown. as a
watching us,
consultant.
advising
Yep.
us, and he thinks we're on the right track.
We're
And
on
this
the right
guy
track.
that's like got a best-selling book about walkable downtowns.
That's right.
So it wasn't just for the cyclists?
Wasn't just for the cyclists,
Whoa.
for the pedestrians, for the people.
Okay.
Mayor.
Yes, sir.
So the whole idea is to have a walkable community downtown, right? Yeah, and in the maybe the cyclists aren't contributing right now to the tax rolls, but 100 units are opening up in the bank this spring. We'll have another RFP awarded for another 200 units coming into to Rimbach Plaza. We're going to have a downtown train station in the next 2 years. All these things are going to be so that people don't have to have a car. And if you're my generation, you say, that sounds crazy. But if you talk to the Gen Zers, they don't want cars. They want walkable communities, and Hammond's going to provide it.
You'd be able to live in one of those buildings and walk to the train station and be in downtown Chicago in a half hour. I mean, this is the kind of thing that is going to develop our downtown. So, all right, let's go. Oh, hi, TJ. What's up?
Hi, I'm TJ. You know, I appreciate the person's concern about the traffic going back and forth. You know, I drive that way to work, and it slows me down too. But I really love the idea of the walkable downtown. I love the train station. It's being built blocks from my house. I live in South Hammond.
Good.
and
Thank you. It's
I'm
weird how people your age look at it so differently. I know people that live in their neighborhoods that are moving away because the train station's going there. It's true. I mean, literally, like, know him well. He's just like, I just don't want to live that close to a train station. So he's moving to
Wow.
another part of the city. But it's funny, he's a little bit older than you. So
Yeah, I get the train to the dunes. I get the train to
Right.
Chicago. It's crazy.
Yes, sir.
I'm about to buy a bicycle too to use these bike
you
lanes.
should. You should. You're right there. Right. Thanks, TJ. Train station? Sure. Hi, sir.
Now, my question is, what are they going to do about it over there where that train station's at on 173rd and Holman Avenue? All it's going to do is create more congestion than it already is. So something needs to be figured out.
That's a controversial train station. I'll acknowledge. that one wasn't really our idea. Gateway, that was our idea. Gateway. That one was being pushed at the time by the chancellor of Purdue Northwest. That's 2 chancellors ago, okay? And it was really important to the chancellor, and the chancellor at that time was really connected in region-wise, and it just was one of those things that wasn't going away. We talked a number of times because as mayor, I was catching more heat on that station than many parts of the project. And it was like we were willing to jettison that part of the project and focus on the downtown station, which is the one we always wanted. So we made a deal to shut up, get the project done, and on the day the first train rolls, we could start working on our downtown Hammond train station. We know where it's going. NICD knows where it's going. We know what it looks like. We can't start until the day that train rolls. But that South Hammond station, sir, I'm not going to stamp my name to that one. That was coming from higher-ups that really wanted that to happen because it was causing me more problems than anything because that neighborhood, despite TJ being one of the few people that wants it, a lot of people in that neighborhood didn't want that project down there. So I don't disagree with you, sir. And I know that Brian, the city planner, is working real hard to make sure that that traffic doesn't do that down there. But so I appreciate your concerns, though. Thank you. All right.
Would Hammond be interested in hosting community hike cleanup events in order to get community members outside, not dissimilar to popular events like WHAM?
Yeah. I would be willing to do that. We do it. I mean, we don't do it with community as much as we do it with city employees. We'll do like Felix will designate like a couple weekends or a few weekends in a month. He's like, we're going to work weekends, Mayor, and we're going to go out there and clean up the city. And they make it look great. And usually we do that when everything melts, right?
Yeah, we do. We try to
introduce yourself, Felix.
Oh, I'm Felix Gonzalez, the Public Works Director.
Festival guy?
Festival guy? Yeah,
Hessville.
No, Hessville, no, South Hammond.
South Hammond,
Yeah, so
okay.
close, not too
right.
far away. Yeah, we usually like to do at least one district every couple of weeks throughout the summer. Just hit it pretty hard, have all our resources in one district, clean it up, and then kind of just maintain it.
And your
throughout the summer.
employees like it because they get overtime out
Oh,
of it,
absolutely.
which is nice.
Yeah. We've had, knock on wood, mild winters lately, so I like to kind of spread the wealth through the summer.
You just messed up, Felix.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, if there's something like that going on, yeah, let us know. We'll help out financially or whatever. So, all right, let's keep going.
What measures are being taken to ensure the Digital Crossroads data center's energy demands of the data center do not strain our local power grid or increase utility rates for residents?
Great question. That's the question of the day. That's what's preventing us from closing the deal on $1 billion data center right now. So, I mean, this is exactly what it's boiling down to with data centers. We have a location that doesn't offend many people because it's literally jutting out in Lake Michigan. It's one of the best locations for a data center in the state of Indiana, probably in the Midwest, because convenient access to Chicago with all the advantages of being Indiana, and you're surrounded by really cold water so you can cool down all those computers you got. It's literally perfect. So we're holding out. We want something big. And we got a big fish that's nibbling right now, but we can't close the deal until we know what's going to happen with power. And so NIPSCO is important. And, I know NIPSCO is not everybody's favorite topic. I mean, they're in the process of going through a huge rate increase right now. And I'm in the process of working with NIPSCO to try to close a real big deal for our city. And now that we have a new governor, we got to deal with the new governor, and hopefully the new governor approves of this deal. But power is what it's all about. And if you guys are paying attention to what's going on with NIPSCO right now, NIPSCO is shutting down all their power plants. They're shutting down our coal plants, which makes people happy because coal is dirty power. We had one of the dirtiest in the country working right here for decades, right? So NIPSCO is shutting all these plants down. But the problem is they're not putting anything back online. So we're shutting plants out, shutting plants down, nothing coming back online to replace it. Now all of a sudden we want, automatic cars. We want all this stuff. We want phones that transmit at lightning speed. So we have to build these data centers, and they suck humongous amounts of megawatts. So Hammond's better equipped than most communities because we're an industrial city. We got the power grid is literally in our city. So we're better equipped for these data centers than most communities. So, and there's a lot of people from around the region in this room right now. It's funny. Some of these data centers that are being announced, they're never going to happen. They're never going to happen because of this question. They can't get the power. The data center we're talking about in Hammond draws more power than 2 steel mills. One little data center. than 2 steel mills. So they have to have infrastructure in place like you're building a steel mill. We do have that here, thankfully, because there are steel mills in this area, so we have the power capable of doing that. But I'm reading like Chesterton and places like that are talking about it. It's like, what? You're in the middle of a cornfield. They got like residential power lines going by. I don't believe it. So a lot of the stuff you're reading about data centers is hogwash, in my opinion, because of power. So that's the question of the day. It's a perfect question, whoever asked it. So, hi. How you doing, sir? Good question, man.
I have read some other issues like noise pollution with these data centers.
Yes, sir.
How do you ensure that that's not going to affect the first district?
Well, the Mars are so far away, you won't hear them. Like, it was, you know where our state line generator was, right? That's where the data centers are. It's even actually.
My house is right there, actually.
State line generator?
Right by the bird sanctuary. So
Okay,
it's
so
not
you're on
that
the other
far. I
side
can
of
walk
the
to it,
casino?
yeah.
Yeah, that's not even close enough. You won't, I promise you. You're not going to.
So the noise pollution, also the water consumption, the power usage. We've had power outages in Whiting and Robertsdale. So that seems like an issue. You say that we have the power, but how can you?
No, I'm saying we don't have the power. We're trying to get the power so we can close that deal.
But you said that we have the power in here, but Valpo it won't happen because they
I said
don't have it.
Chesterton, technically.
I'm just.
Well, I don't know what you're trying to say.
I'm just saying, do we have the power or do we not?
I don't know. I'm not NIPSCO. I don't know what you're trying to say, man. I'm like.
That's my question.
Do we have the power? Yeah. Not currently. We're trying to get it so that we can close the deal and bring a big data center to our city that'll help us pay the bills. Thank you.
Do you want me to comment any on that, Mayor?
Sure.
So as far as water uses, it's a one-to-one replacement for the cooling. What comes in goes exactly back out. So, and if you say, well, isn't it going to be heated water, right? Because it's like a radiator. If you're not familiar, basically it brings in Lake Michigan water to cool the servers that are in there and puts it back out. It's less than a 1 degree temperature difference. I've asked all these questions. And as far as the NIPSCO goes, that's a private deal. Like, that's not really a city thing that we can do. But NIPSCO isn't going to build a $200 million power plant if they don't have some investment into that plant. So we've done our part. I think we've done really good due diligence to look at every aspect of how that would impact the community. But there's parts of it that we just can't affect.
Because NIPSCO, as Scott was indicating, they know if you put a data center there, for the next 20 years, the data center is going to require X amount of megawatts. NIPSCO doesn't have that available right now. NIPSCO's got to buy those megawatts on the open market. So they have to go to some power generator somewhere and say, hey, I need these megawatts for this data center in Hammond, sign a contract with them for the next 20 years and buy those megawatts. NIPSCO's not going to do that unless they're positive you're going to build that data center. This is all outside of us. We did what we could do. Now we're just sort of letting NIPSCO and the banks and everybody see if it's going to work. And by the way, now we have a new governor, so that who knows how the new governor takes to this deal. He may kill the whole deal. He may think it's great. We don't know because he's new. So, but I appreciate the question. It's a really good question. It's very topical right now, so I appreciate you.
I think I have a follow-up over here.
Sure. Where are you? Oh, hi.
Yeah, I just wanted to add what Joey was saying. Like, there is a lot of concern with that because I think last year we had a power outage because a balloon hit a transformer. Like, that's how fragile the situation was.
No, you know what? A Mylar balloon is a conductor. It shorts things. So if a Mylar balloon hits 2 phases, the whole damn system goes out. It has nothing to do with power. It has to do with the short.
Okay. There was like a lot.
No, I mean, that's what you brought up is a legitimate situation.
Yeah, there's been like a lot more power outages. I've lived in this district since I was 3 years old, and I have never experienced as many power outages. And I don't know if that that obviously has to do with NIPSCO, but like just the concern for sure. I think it was like last year, not this past Christmas, but the Christmas before, we came home and we were just hanging out, and then our power went out, and our temperature in our house was dropping 70 to 60 to 50 eventually, and thankfully it jumped back on. But that situation happened a few times during the winter, and they were because of people crashing their cars into the transformer or whatever the case. So, I'm just bringing that up as a concern.
I appreciate it. Hi. Hi, Councilman. This is a former councilman of the city of Hammond, Bob Markovich. Good to see you, Bob.
You talk about you need all this extra power. So let's suppose Nippon Steel buys U.S. Steel, keep it open for 3 years, close it down, move everything south. Now you got all the NIPSCO power, all the land, put another data center there. So, I mean, that's a possibility.
Yeah, I don't think Nippon is going to be able to buy it, though, because President Trump's indicated. But who knows? I think, personally, I think if somebody's willing to put $9 billion into U.S. Steel, I think it's a good deal, but I'm just Mayor Hammond. They don't really care what I think. Hi.
Hey, I personally have some friends who work for NIPSCO who have been laid off due to just all the recent stuff that's been going on.
I'm sorry, due to...
Oh, they have been laid off due to a lot of the NIPSCO cuts and whatnot lately in the past, like, I would say 3 or 4 months. Do you have any idea if this plan were to go through, what wages would look like for jobs?
You're talking about which
The
plan?
data center, the potential data center. I mean, would this be largely college-educated, like tech-related jobs, or is this
You know
going
what
to be the
the crummy
opportunity
thing I
for
appreciate-
actual labor?
That's a great question. The data centers, the thing I don't love about them, is once they're built, it's like a data hotel. It's like you buy a room in this data center and you just sort of store information there. And so what I'm trying to say is it's most of the manpower at a data center is security. It's like dudes that are driving around making sure nobody messes with it. It's a security system. So like once they're built, they're not places where people drive with their briefcase in the morning. I'm sure there are some people who report there, but for the most part, they're automated, sir, being honest with you. That's what is not lovely about them. Thanks for the question.
How can one request a deaf kid on block sign? Is that a thing in the city?
Jeff, you up here? Who's from Board of Works up here? Board of Works? Felix. You're not Board of Works, but...
No, it's more of an informational sign, so it doesn't really need to go through Board of Works.
Okay.
Like the regulatory signs and all that do. But we could take care of it if I just get that ticket and the address.
So if the person's
We'll
in
take care
here,
of it
could you
tomorrow.
see Felix? Felix is in charge. Hi. Felix is right here. If you're not here at the end of the meeting, you can call Felix tomorrow at Public Works, and he'll work with you, and we'll get it done. Thank you, ma'am. It's Felix. He's the head of Public Works, okay? And that's on Conkey Street. Hi.
Can IT please let people know how they can reach departments via gohammond.com? Is there a contact form? What's the best way of getting in contact with them?
With IT?
Yeah.
You just call them.
Well, is there like a contact form on gohammond.com? What is the best way to reach out to a department? Via gohammond.com.
So at gohammond.com, there's Contact Us, and that brings you to a form to fill out, and you can pick which department you want to send that email to. Then there's a little spot for your message.
There was 2 comments that the contact form may be down.
We can take a look at that. We did do some tweaking on the website, so
Okay.
we'll test it tomorrow.
All right. Do you have a follow-up on Go Hammond? Yeah. All right, hold on.
Sorry, I'm coming.
He's like blocked out. Hi.
I submitted a similar question, so it might not get read because you kind of grouped them together. But I've used gohammond.com for the messaging, and I've never received a response from that. Now, lately I've contacted your office, I've contacted the Common Council, I've contacted the fire department, and I've contacted the animal control. No responses at all. Again, how is it supposed to work? How is that messaging supposed to work?
Usually people call, honestly. I think 90...
Number?
You know, there's no numbers on Go Hammond for animal control and stuff like that?
Every page has a phone number for the department it represents, but the way it works is you pick the department that you want, like you said, and then you fill out the form and it's automatically sent to that department.
Again, I get no response, so how do you fix that?
That's not a technological issue. Yeah.
Right.
Mayor, I'd also like to add that in the back of the room, we have the magnets that have departments' phone numbers and the best way to contact them. Those are right next to the elevator back there.
But if he, like he said, if this is recent, there might be an issue. We'll take a look tomorrow.
Okay. Hi. For Go Hammond, why don't you just go ahead and ask it? Well, it's all right. We're okay. We'll go through the questions. That's fine.
Well, actually, go ahead. So basically, that drop-down box is very similar to the one for School City of Hammond, actually. But I agree with them. They're not getting responses. And so there is I was wondering if you could put an email option on your Go Hammond, because you don't have not one email where I can actually submit a written response. I can't tell you how many times I've called. I've got in the name of Chris. I've got in the name of IT, Tiffany, all kinds of names, and I'm not getting a call back. So
What's your problem?
It's probably going to come up here in a little bit, so let's wait on that one. But technically, it would be nice to have an email option. I know that you.
Appreciate it.
Well, we typically don't list the emails because that's how you get a ton of spam. I mean, if I had a website with your email address on it, you're going to get picked up by bots all day long and get spammed. We don't want that, so we have a form like most websites have.
Well, I know. Well, since you asked about what was in reference for, I was asking about the meeting that was not posted from last week on
What meeting?
January 13th for the Common Council meeting that everybody took the time out to come to. And for some reason, that's still not up, but we got the
Is that the one
MLK.
where we had a medical incident at the end of the meeting?
Exactly, but it's just a minor clip. Okay, it's just a clip. And
But hold it, like somebody, okay, because not everybody knows what you're talking about. So
I'm
at this,
pretty sure they do.
No, not everybody knows what you're talking about. I'm positive. So like at this meeting, we have Go Hammond TV on, and a person in the audience, like imagine you're at Mayor's Night Out. We have cameras everywhere, right? And you have a medical incident in this room, and it's on Go Hammond TV, and everybody in the city could pull up your medical incident episode and watch you have a medical episode right there. What do you do as a city when something happens like that? You pull the video down. That's what we did. I'm not going to sit here and get yelled at. So
You made a mention there, Local 399. I worked there for quite some time. There were negotiations that wrapped up. There were oaths taken. It was a very important meeting where communities came out, and that room was fuller than the full moon that night itself. So I would really appreciate if there would be no bias and we can get that video up and going, because you've got the redevelopment up, you've got the MLK, and you got 3 IT technicians, and we're waiting for
very
that
busy.
footage.
We're
If
very
it
busy.
doesn't throw up, I mean, it's just a meaning that you may not want it up. Your staff works for you. Can you please
I
put
created
that up?
Go Hammond TV. We created it. There's been millions of views on Go Hammond TV since I've been mayor. So. Okay. So. All right, thanks. We'll move on. All right, let's go ahead and do the next question. This is going to be, there's a lot of people that came here from the first district that want to, listen, I'm going to shut this meeting down. I'm not going to sit here and have you guys yell. You guys are,
Again.
Chief of Staff said he was going to put it back up. Okay. All right, we're moving on to the next question. I'm not an editor, so we're just going to move on to the next question. Go ahead, I'll read it off. No, I'm just moving on.
There needs to be an enforcement of Illinois.
Eileen, go ahead. Yeah.
There needs to be an enforcement of Illinois residents living in Indiana to change plates to Indiana if they're not students. The wheel tax would increase city's revenue getting these violators who don't change to Indiana license plates.
Okay. Chief. Reciprocity.
I believe I have. No, we do have a dedicated reciprocity officer who's looking into it every day, and we also have Captain Tom Strabavi, who runs that department. Strabavi, you would like to answer this one?
Oh, hi, Cap.
Sorry, excuse me.
Captain Tom Strabavi is the head of the civilian unit that helps out in the community development, so community affairs.
So Sergeant Frank Herrera is in charge of that program. He's the one that's not only handling all the C-Click fixes that come in through the 311 app, but he's also the one that goes, he's been basically going from the Hessville area, South Hammond area, all the way up north. So he covers exactly what he can. He responds to all the complaints, and if there's a problem area, then he'd be more than glad.
He's literally one officer that's assigned, right? This
Correct.
is pretty much his full-time job. I mean, there's plenty of work out there for him too, right? Your thing's not working.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Can you hear me?
All right. So,
Yes, sir.
And then obviously the wheel tax, it was pointed out that the more of these cars we find, the more wheel tax comes in. We're aware of that, right?
Correct, sir.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Hi, sir. You have a follow-up to that?
For over, I'd say 7 or 8 years now, 4 cars with Illinois plates. One guy 3 houses away, 12 years with Illinois plates. I called last year, and I talked to Mr. Strabi, or Officer Strabi, and they did come out the next day, and these guys took the tickets off their cars, laughed about it. They still got their Illinois plates. And they're the one, their rental houses, they trash the alleys. The Hammond garbage men, they shouldn't have to pick up the garbage that's overflowing and everything. Them guys are working hard enough.
Yes, sir.
And they do not go back out and pick up their own garbage. If we wouldn't pick it up, they'd let it blow down the alley.
Yes, sir.
And those garbage men are working like hell,
Do me a favor.
trying to do everything.
Could you call my office? Alex, could you give him a contact? Call my office tomorrow, give me the address. I will follow it up personally, okay? All right? And then we'll get some city officials out there to talk to him, sure. Okay? All right. You have a follow-up on this? Hi. Where's my microphone? Eileen, right around the corner. Hi.
Okay, I know we have a problem getting these people to change their license plates. Can the city pass an ordinance that the tenant must put a clause in the lease that says you have 60 days to change your plates or it's a violation of your lease?
Kev?
A lease is a private agreement between a landlord and a tenant, and if the city passed an ordinance like that, really all you're saying is comply with Indiana law. We can't force a landlord to say it's a violation of your lease and we're going to evict you if you don't. I mean, what we can do potentially is look at saying, if you are a landlord and if your tenants do not change the problematic thing that you'll hear a lot is that there are a lot of exceptions to why, and I'm not trying to make excuses for folks that have Illinois plates because it drives me crazy as well, too, in my neighborhood, same issue. But there are a lot of exceptions, so you want to be careful when you're crafting an ordinance so that we address the issue legally, properly, and make sure that it's fair. And I know that the mayor and the police department have been dealing with this issue for all 21 years that he's been mayor, so it's not a new issue. We have been approached by a couple of council members to look into this, and I can tell you the law department is, but we want to make sure if we do it right. And so I wish I had a better answer, a more complete answer for you, that we have a great solution, but we want to be careful that we're not going to draft an ordinance that's going to get thrown out in the court by the unfortunately, very powerful apartment association that the mayor has fought with and beat on several occasions.
And lost too.
And lost as well, so.
Thank you, Matt. Reciprocity.
Yeah, referencing, can't you attach that to the rental registration agreement that you put on all rental properties in the city of Hammond?
The ones that sign up?
That they have to sign up for if it's a rental property?
Yeah,
Or
so
that way the lease is canceled between the individual. It's a separate agreement between the city and the landowner who may be living in Phoenix or Colorado or Florida.
Right or up the block. Right.
Yeah, or down the block, or might own 25 houses in the neighborhood. That way they could at least have the responsibility to let the tenants know that they have to change.
Yeah, and so Nick Farrell, we kind of revamped the form this year regarding, last year regarding rental registrations, and we're trying to get more information regarding the tenants. And maybe, Mayor, if you're okay with Nick addressing that, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I believe there is an acknowledgement at the top of the form regarding certain requirements. However, as far as our code enforcement inspectors go, if the vehicle's on the actual property itself, then we can tag it. We could deal with reciprocity, junk vehicles, abandoned vehicles. Once the vehicle's on the street, then we have to coordinate with PD, to run the plates, verify what address it belongs to. But we have been meeting, I think, quarterly, dealing with a lot of these vehicle issues that, are plaguing the city at the time. So we have taken steps to try to notify the owners. The owners notify the tenants, and tenants have to do it. If not, we can get a tow order in some instances. Unless they move it to the street, then it's kind of like cat mouse game.
And we're talking about scofflaws here, and we passed the city ordinance. It's just one more layer of law that they're willing to be a scofflaw for. That's the ultimate problem. Is these people they know the law and they're skirting the law.
And they know how to get around. It's like, oh, it's my boyfriend's car. Oh, it's my girlfriend's car.
It's my work
They only
car.
stay here
My
a
work
couple days
vehicle.
a week, or
Right.
yeah, I let him stay here, but I don't own the car. I'm the tenant, but this is my boyfriend, and he
And then you
stays here all
towed
week.
this. Oh my God, you towed my work truck.
Yeah, I work in Illinois, and it's a company car. You can imagine the excuses we get. And I don't want you can see that it's frustrating for us too. And I know the mayor's frustrated with it because he hears about it, and he asks us for solutions. And I can tell you we're working on it, but we want to make sure we're doing it right, and we do it fair, and we're doing it legally.
The number one complaint I get as mayor, in 21 years of being mayor, trains. Number two, reciprocity, for sure. And they're pretty damn close. It's a constant mayor's night out topic. Constantly, bringing this up, but we were always, whoever the mayor is, 20 years from now, 50 years from now, I guarantee they'll be dealing with this because we're on a state line, and there's a disparity between the prices, so people are going to try to be scofflaws, and it's frustrating for you, it's frustrating for us, it gives the police a lot of things to do, but thank you for the questions.
The ornamental light at 44 in front of 4428 has been out. 4428 Henry has been out for 4 weeks. Public Works has been contacted, and they have said that they are having supply issues.
We revamped our lighting system. It was being done in-house. We didn't feel that we were doing a good enough job with our in-house lighting, and we went to a contractor. The contractor will be catching us up, and they're more incentivized to do it because they get paid per pole, whereas sometimes city employees aren't as motivated. I think this was a good move for us, and I think we're going to notice the difference in the spring when Midwestern Electric, is that the one that's doing it, or are we working on that still? We're still working on it. Felix, you want to add to that?
Yeah, we're currently still working the kinks out of it, and I will.
Did you take that address down?
I have it,
Okay.
yeah, 4428. Eileen gave it to me.
And I know everybody in here knows, but we have Go Hammond. That's a real easy way to get it right to Felix. First thing every morning, you check Go Hammond.
Yep.
You check the C-Click
We
fixes.
have someone dedicated to that, and she does awesome. So
Literally,
she's literally. in
it's how you
contact
take
with
cuts
our-
in line.
Yeah.
If you call in, you get put on a list. If you do C-Click Fix, you sort of go to the front of the line. That's really how it works. So if you want something taken care of right away, you can put it in right now. Felix would see it when he got to work in the morning. It's there waiting for him. So.
But I will look into that tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yep.
I have a few questions and comments regarding the Hammond Sanitary District, so I'll just read one question.
Sure.
Why is the Hammond Sanitary District not going to follow the consent decree from the EPA to stop discharging overflow sewer water in the Little and Grand Calumet rivers?
Okay. First off, the consent decree doesn't say that. First off, Mylan, where are you? Hi. Hi. How many times do you think, just for frame of reference, when my dad was mayor, how often did the sanitary district overflow? The CSO event.
When it rained.
Like how often?
When it rained.
Jack,
right?
you worked there then,
Dean?
right?
Dean?
How often would you overflow? Many times a year, on the average.
Every time it rained.
So what, 100 times a year?
Yeah, about.
So when it overflowed, is that feces in the water?
Yes.
In the Grand Calumet
Calumet
River.
River.
And the Grand
Correct.
Calumet River goes into Lake Michigan?
Yes.
Feces in Lake Michigan?
Yes.
Okay, and then it gets into our beautiful lake, and that's where we pull water from. It's where we fish and recreate and all that, right?
Yep.
So it was a regular occurrence back in the 80s? In the 90s, regular occurrence? It didn't change much under Mayor Dietlow?
Not too much.
And then we started running into the clean water, Obama presidency, and things started changing, right? And then consent decrees are being reached, right? You look uncomfortable. Dean.
Mr. Button was
Well, the truth is that we got gaming.
Right.
And we started doing sewer separations throughout the entire city, right? Through your administration, right? That's what happened.
Below
We started
and-
separating sewers and built a
So-
CSO overflow basin.
So through that period of time, how often would we overflow? During the D-Low era, during my early administration era?
It diminished, right, over
Like what?
time.
So instead of 100 a year, and these are round numbers, okay? It would go down to 20?
I would say
15?
more than 20, right?
Okay.
And now
so
the
it's still like every week we'd have an overflow, every couple
Well, the
weeks we'd have an
CSO
overflow?
basin overflows is statistically 4 times a year, right? The
Correct.
CSO basin across from the street
Yeah,
from
but
the.
you're like jumping way ahead of me. I was trying to point out over in time. So like we're getting better and better.
We're getting better
and
all
here
the
we
time,
are now.
making constant
How many
improvements.
overflows did we have this year, Mylan?
Last year?
Yeah.
2.
On the CSO basin,
The
we
CSO basin.
still have other overflows.
Okay.
Right, Kennedy North.
Yes, true.
The
Right.
Little Calumet River has
Gotcha.
over Indianapolis
Okay,
Boulevard.
good point.
So those still happen, right? But we've really diminished the amount of overflows that have
From
that have occurred.
hundreds to a dozen?
Yeah,
Less?
I mean, I would say it's very infrequent now.
And
it does
like,
happen, though.
if it happens now, it's a massive rainstorm.
Big rainstorms.
Like what? It hits us all at once. Like few inches all at once. Everybody in the region gets hit because we get all their water, and then we overflow. And instead of us flowing it into people's basements, you choose in the district to flow it into the CSO, which could result in toxins in the water, not toxins, waste.
Feces,
Right.
BOD, suspended solids, all those
So
things
we
you
did
don't really
2
want
last
in the
year, Rylan?
2 last year, yes, Mayor.
And the federal government wants 0.
Correct.
When we're coming from an era where it used to be hundreds, and they want to go down to 0.
Correct.
So to go from where we are now, 2 or so a year, to 0 is going to cost us $300 million, maybe more.
Easily 300 million.
So it's like, that's a lot of pain for the last 2. And by the way, let's make no mistake about it. You're going to pay that, Hammond residents. If you get a bill from the sanitary district, that's how we pay for it. So that means if we are forced to do these $300 million in improvements that the EPA wants us to do, we have no choice but to massively raise rates on Hammond residents. I don't want to do that. I'm doing everything I can to prevent that from happening. So when Donald Trump got elected, listen, I was on the other team. Everybody knows which team I was on. My team lost. We got lost. We got beat. We have a new president taking over. He has a big time difference of the EPA. I don't think this guy cares about that kind of stuff. And if we're able to petition the new EPA and save Hammond residents $100 million, isn't that wise of me to try to do? I'm not going to discharge dirty water. So anyway, I think it's a wise choice for the mayor to try to save his residents hundreds of millions of dollars. I think it's a wise move, and I'm going to do that because that's why you hire a mayor, to do things that are good for the community. I think that $300 million on our community is completely onerous, and it's going to drive people into losing their home. And I don't want to be that guy, and I'm not going to. Period. I'm going to go to the new EPA, and I'm going to ask them to reduce that consent decree massively. And then once they agree, hopefully they agree, then I'm going to make a deal with them, and we'll probably start building it. That's what I want to do. And if I'm correct on this, I'm going to save Hammond residents over $100 million. If I'm right. If I'm not, then we're going to build it because we're in a consent decree. But if I'm right, I'm going to save you guys a lot of money. And believe me, you're all looking at me skeptically right now, but when we raise the rates because we have to cover this stupid $300 million project, you're going to be pissed off. And you're going to remember this conversation we're having right now. I'm trying to save you a lot of money. So you guys want to ridicule me for it, have at it. I think this is super smart, personally. Really smart. Like super aggressive, mayor doing good stuff, fighting for his community. That's what I think it is. Because we're clean. We're cleaner than we've ever been in the Hammond Sanitary District. No doubt. So, hi, Terry.
Okay. Yeah, Mayor, I think we're kind of misrepresenting things. Is the mic on? Okay. One thing, the Clean Water Act was passed in 1972. So you got the ghost of Richard Nixon hanging over you. It's not Obama, it's not Biden, and all that. And the Clean Water Act is
I can tell you when the consent decree happened.
Okay, I can tell you.
I know you
too.
don't live in Hammond, so you may not know these things.
Well, I do
I know where
these
you live.
things.
I mean,
know you
it's
got-
not really often that I get.
You had a consent decree.
I could do whatever I want. This is Mayor's Night Out. I don't even have to have Mayor's Night Out. We do it as a service to our residents. And I'm talking to a non-resident, by the way. Getting ridiculed by a non-resident. We do this as a service to Hammond residents.
You criticize BP for polluting, but
Well, I appreciate you. What community do you live in? Highland? Do you live in Highland, Terry? And you know what? Highland has their own EPA issues. You should go talk to your own residents about their EPA issues. So go away. Thank you. I'm not going to sit here and get yelled at by a Highland resident. I'm not going to sit here and get yelled at by a Highland resident in Hammond Mayor's Night Out. I would never in a million years show up to Highland Town Council and start yelling at the Highland Town Council about Highland stuff. I wouldn't do that because I have no business being in the Highland Town Council because I live in Hammond. You know what? So I'm not going to do it, Terry. Why don't you go back home to Highland, Terry? Go back home to Highland, Terry. Go back home to Highland. Bye. Thank you. Go back home to Highland, Terry. All right. Hi.
I've got a question. I
Yes,
was
sir.
born and raised in Hammond my entire life.
Yes,
My
sir.
family was born and raised in Hammond their entire life. Raise the rates for Griffith and Highland. They won't show up to the meeting.
I got sued by them but we have a fair agreement with our customer community, sir. We have a fair deal with our customer community, sir. It was huge litigation with multi-communities, but we had to get sued so that we could save our residents hundreds of millions of dollars. So, this is a tricky issue, but, I do have a problem with getting yelled at by people that aren't even my boss. I do have a problem with that. I would never in a million years show up to another community and yell at their decision makers about something that's in their community. This has nothing to do with you, Highland resident. It has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with you. I don't care what you say. I don't work for you. I work for the residents of Hammond. So,
I have a follow-up back here, Mayor.
Hi, so I live in Gary, Indiana, yes, but I work for SCA planting trees in your city, and I attend college in your city.
Thank you.
And I also pay taxes for all of Lake County and state taxes, which means I am technically your boss. And on top of that, the water...
My boss
the
is
sewer,
vote
the sewer,
Hammond.
don't interrupt me.
My
The
boss
sewer
is-
water is shared between Gary, Whiting, Hammond, and Highland. And in 2023, BP was fined $42 million for polluting our water with benzene already, and you're going to continue polluting it? I would much rather have that extra charge because we are fighting for clean water.
I'm
If
glad
it
a
means
Gary
clean
resident
water-
is happy with me tripling Hammond residents' charges. I'm really glad about that. It means a lot when a Gary resident tells me, raise rates on your residents, I support that. It means a lot to me to hear that from a Gary resident. Thank you. Okay. Well, this is an issue that we don't see eye to eye on. We don't. I think I'm being entrepreneurial and smart. And I didn't vote for the guy that's the new president, but I tell you what, his view of the EPA is certainly different from your guys's, and I'm going to try to save Hammond residents a couple bucks, because that's what mayors do. Thank you. I'm sorry that he's the president, but he is. He got elected. All right. Question?
There are 2 abandoned buildings on Ruth Street that need to come down. 2 Ruth Street and 38 Ruth Street.
This is another one where I know the address off the top of my head. We've been dealing with this one for a while, okay?
We have 2634 Ruth, and I have to give credit to Kelly Kearney, Brian Poland, Dean Button, and others, Nick Farrell, and the district, I think it's Rich Castro's district there. But it has been an ongoing, if you knew the antics that the owners have been playing with us on 2634 Ruth, you wouldn't believe it. They have transferred the property 3 times, including to a Wyoming LLC that they set up the day before the court hearing. They've tried to hide behind different owners. We had to go through a very extensive environmental review there that Mr. Poland also went through the Indiana Historic Preservation Commission review. And last Thursday, we opened bids to knock it down. And Mr. Kearney is going to award that bid, or suggest to award that bid tomorrow morning, I believe, with Board of Works, and hopefully that will then give a 10-day notice to IDEM. There was a recent broker who called trying to save it, and we told them we're knocking it down. And that's the plan, and if everything goes well, it should be beginning demolition, I believe, in sometime in February, weather permitting.
As soon as possible. The other address is 2 Ruth. That'll be the next adventure.
Thank you.
A comment. Speed bumps are needed, especially in school zones, and speed bumps do not interfere with snow plows.
I'm not laughing. I'm laughing because that was a good little addition at the end. I get this from residents a lot. And when I talk to employees that work the streets, they push back. So I'm caught in the middle of a public that wants them and a workforce that's responsible for clearing our streets that doesn't want them. And I am fearful that once we start, there's going to be hard to stop. Like if I build the first speed bump in Hammond, they're going to be everywhere because everybody wants them. So it's one of those situations where you let that out of the bag, it's going to be everywhere. We'll have speed bump city. So good point. I appreciate the question. We get it a lot. So, okay.
This is a comment. I'm not sure if the resident is still here if they want to expand on this, but this says public access to public land on the former state line generating station.
Yeah. Okay. This is a good point for sure. I get this sometimes, Jeff. There's a fine line between security at the data center and locking people out. Okay. And I'm a cyclist, one of the hated cyclists. And I go to that area a lot, and sometimes they lock you out. And you'll be on trying to use the bike trail, and they just literally block you out. I don't know if that's what this person's talking about.
Are they talking about bike trail or getting there on a vehicle?
Well,
From the east side.
You can't on a vehicle.
Well, from the east side, though.
Right. You can't do it. I tried. They block you out. I think it's you guys that are
No, you could get from the east side to get to the flagpole area,
Yeah.
but you can't come this far.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
I don't know which route they're speaking of.
Are they still here? Yes. Hi. You want to expand? Hi, ma'am.
Okay. The Indiana Supreme Court has ruled that the Lake Michigan shoreline in Indiana is owned by the state for the public use. And the data center has been built on reclaimed land and is part of the Lake Michigan shoreline. I'm part of the public and I would like to use it, but I can't because I tried to go there in my car and I couldn't get there. And I was wondering why, even if these data centers are going up, why you cannot set aside some land to tie into the trail system and to put habitat there and to have the public access it, even on the bikes or even walking, so that we could enjoy the precious resource that is Lake Michigan.
I appreciate the question. So as the former chief, as the head of the Port Authority indicated, by car right now, you could get to the flagpole. All right, you can't get to the Port Authority from the east side, though, right? You could on a bike, you could walk that way. And then, obviously, if you were taking your car from the Hammond Marina, you'd only get to basically the other side of the beach here, and it would stop you at that point. But on a bike, you could go that way. On foot, you could go that way. So I agree with you somewhat. But it also, but at the same time, we do have a data center there, and it's going to be host to multiple data centers 10 years from now, okay? But one thing about data centers is, if you remember in Nashville, there was a terrorist act done on a data center, and there's a lot of security that needs to go into these facilities as well. So we have to be cognizant of your access, but at the same time, able to secure the data center from a terrorist standpoint. So, yes, ma'am. Okay.
Right here, Mike.
Hi.
Yeah, this is, when this first was tore down,
What's that, sir?
there was a lot of discussion about doing
the state line?
State line generation. When it was first tore down, there was a lot of discussion about doing something with the Marquette plan to create public access there. And I would say, especially since the city owns a lot of that property now, it should be easily done now that the city has a lot of ownership over there, and you should be able to create some kind of parkway around the edge there of the lake, and they could still secure behind it, but you could still have public access.
You ever go there?
To the lake? Yeah.
You could do it right now.
Well,
do
you have a tree canopy there? Do you have butterfly gardens?
No.
Do you have a rain garden?
No, okay.
Do you have some atmosphere there? That,
No, I don't, Terry. So, but you could. Marquette plan was access. You have access. You can go there right now. I've done it 100 times. Okay. Yeah. I ride the bike trails in Highland a lot. There's no freaking butterfly gardens and tree canopies in Highland. There's not one single thing. You can't even get a damn drink of water in Highland. It's ridiculous. Why don't you go to the Highland Town Council and bring this up? Because I'm a cyclist. I go through Highland. There's not one of these damn things there. So. Eileen, what's up?
Two comments. There needs to be better education on animal control. Not the department, but in general, animal control. Our dog has been attacked 4 times in the last year. This resident is also receiving different answers from animal control and the police.
Listen, yeah, I agree. on the Parkway, I jog a lot, and I'll have dogs come tearing after me because they're like, oh, you know, my dog is nice. And then the dog will go and bite somebody. Unfortunately, it happens way too much. So, Chief, do you have anybody you want to speak on behalf of Animal Control? Or?
The director here,
Lainey is
Bunnish
back.
here.
Oh, yeah, hold on, ma'am. We'll be right with you.
Lainey wanted to speak.
Hi, ma'am.
I'm just asking, can we get, like, if you own a dog, you should have to attend a class.
Yes, ma'am, I agree. But I can tell you, 21 years being mayor, you know how to piss off an entire city all at once? Pass an ordinance about dogs. You piss off the whole city all at once. I know, ma'am. I'm not making excuses, and I'm not trying to make light of the situation, okay? My wife's been bit before. I've been scared. I know a number of us up here.
You just got injured.
I'm sorry. You don't legally, you do have recourse. I mean, it's strict liability when a dog bites you. The owner is strictly liable for the dog bites, right, Kev?
That's correct. There's no one bite rule anymore.
No one free bite for dogs anymore.
There's
So, like, you could sue people. Like, if my dog bites somebody, my dog's only like this big, but if he bites somebody, I could be sued for it.
The other thing I was going to mention is that there is a potential to declare a dog dangerous, and then we can require certain things. I know Lainey knows that. It can be brought
Well, we've
before
done
the
that
Board of
before.
Public. We have at the Board of Public Works.
Recently.
Yeah, within the last year.
Right.
Mhm. Yep. So that can also happen if there's a continuing problem. That's
Like a real bad bite.
generally
It
effective.
was like a kid that got bit really bad, and that dog got put down. Ma'am, like, in your situation, like, the city should definitely know, and I'm sure we do, but if we don't, we need to know about that dog, where that dog is. We need to get the PD involved, and we get involved in situations like this multiple times a year. So please contact one of our officers on the way out. Okay, ma'am?
One
Oh,
second.
hey. Who's that? Is that Lainey? Hi, Lainey. Hi. Speaking of animal control, how's it going? Lainey's in charge of animal control, and she's here. I can't hear you, Lainey. It's not working.
This unlucky, and unfortunately, every single one of these incidents was involving.
I can't hear it. It's breaking up.
Hello?
Yeah.
This unfortunate individual is the one.
Hello?
Come forward.
It's out of range.
Incidents involving this young lady have been from different pets from different families. So she's just the unluckiest person on the planet.
You like
would have definitely been
need to
declared
change your
dangerous
perfume or something.
a long time ago. I'm sorry.
Like, that is incredibly bad luck. You're fine, right? You're not injured? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Listen, we need a microphone that works, guys. This is ridiculous. I need a microphone that works. Is it they're out of range or something? Yeah.
I've watched these dogs jump over fences. Like, just because you have a fence doesn't mean you should have your dog outside. If your dog's outside, you need.
Okay. Do me a favor, ma'am. Could you get that information to City Hall? I'm sure we know about it, but if we don't, okay. Thank you.
I think I have another follow-up. real
It
quick.
seems like if you're behind this magic line up there, we can't hear you if you're talking in the
Test, test.
microphone. I know that gentleman's talked before and it worked. So if you're much further behind that gentleman in the second round right there,
Yeah.
we may be breaking up. We may have to have you come forward if you want to speak. Hi, sir.
You'll probably hear me. That's not going to be a problem.
Yes, sir. It's the people at
You know
home.
what? To piggyback on the dog thing also, we've had a lot of incidents in the last couple of days where it's wind chill below zero. We have dog owners that keep their pets outside, and there should be an easier way to notify animal control of that. and
911.
Have that fixed.
You know, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up, sir. 911. Like, we were brought up, people my age were brought up to not call 911 unless there was somebody bleeding or dying. And then all the rules got changed a few years back. Now you call 911 for anything. You call 911 if there's a cat in a tree. Right, Chief?
Yes, sir.
You call 911, certainly, if there's a dog outside in a dangerous situation, call 911. You're not going to get in trouble for it anymore. It's different for people my age to hear that, but 911 is like a general information number now. Okay? Thank you, sir.
I think one more.
Hi.
Speaking about dogs,
yes, sir.
It's been going on for the past year that a lot of people who don't want their dogs from Chicago keep bringing them in all the neighborhoods in Hammond and keep abandoning them all over Hammond.
Okay.
And that's how I got my dog. A very friendly dog, and I just don't like how these people don't want their dogs. They decide to bring them over here and abandon them on a hot day, especially.
Thank you. It's a good way to get a dog. All right. All right. Friar East Woods. This is a 6th district issue, okay? I get followed around by the people in the room right now. They go to council meetings. They follow me around Mayor's Night Out. They feel very strongly that I'm making a mistake. Thank you. I appreciate it, ma'am. This is for those of you in the 1st district that are here at Mayor's Night Out, this is a situation that involves Hessville and stop trains in Hessville. A proposal about 8 years that the city came up with where we got the state of Indiana to agree to pay for $15 million bridge.
That's what it'll cost, yep. 14 million, yep.
And then the city's part in that is?
25% most.
$3 million?
Yeah.
$3 million. So for $3 million, we solve most of the problems in Hessville by allowing cars and cyclists and walkers to go over stop trains. And this is a big problem in Hessville. You go back and talk to previous mayors. You know, I get that opportunity to talk to previous mayors. You get the opportunity to talk to people who lived in Hessville for a long time, and they'll tell you, I moved out of Hessville because I couldn't handle the trains, or the one thing that drives me nuts about living in Hessville is the stop trains. So the fact that the Mayor Hammond got an opportunity through a state grant to fix the problem for $3 million is something to be celebrated, okay, in my opinion, all right? Now, there was a problem with Scott Middle School and the walkers, and this proposal, Governor's Parkway, didn't help the walkers going to Scott Middle School. I acknowledge that. So then we worked with Norfolk Southern, and they paid for engineering for a pedestrian bridge to go right by Scott Middle School for when there's stop trains that allow the kids to go up over the stop train and get to school without crossing the tracks, which is dangerous. I got Norfolk Southern to pay for the engineering, and I got the federal government to pay for that stop bridge, or for that pedestrian bridge. So now in Hessville, we'll have a pedestrian bridge for the walkers that go to Scott Middle School. I'll have Governor's Parkway that gets everybody else in cars and bikes over the stop trains because they are back again, and they'll be back again in the future, and it fixes the problem. I acknowledge that a weakness in this is one of the only routes that we could do to make it work takes us through an area we call Briar East Woods. Okay? It's an area that some people love very much. I acknowledge that. And they feel very strongly I'm making a mistake. All right? They feel so strongly that they show up from meeting to meeting to let me know that I'm a bad mayor, I'm making a bad decision, and they don't agree with it. And that's fine. That's their right to do. Okay? And they're here right now. All right? But I haven't changed my mind on this. Not even a single bit. I'm not going to change my mind on this because I'm doing the right thing. I get hired by the Hammond residents to fix problems. Stop trains are a major problem in Hammond. I listen to experts that have to deal with this every single day, and I ask them what they think. Like the chiefs. You mind? The fire chief. How do you feel about this, chief?
Absolutely, Mayor. We're talking about public safety here. The Hammond Fire Department is all hazard department. We respond to 1,200 calls every month. That's Hammond, Indiana, 1,200 emergency calls. So, I mean, we're talking about public safety. We have an emergency response of under 4 minutes. Trains delay them, and we're for it, Mayor. As far as the Parrish Avenue
How long would it take you to get to Hess School with a stop train from Station 8?
Well, like I said, normal response, we're under 4 minutes here, City of Hammond. With the stop train, we're probably about 10, 15 minutes out. Reroutes, maybe even longer. With 8094, the accidents on 8094, we could probably double it, triple it. I think police department could say the same there, Mayor.
Do you support it personally? I know you don't live in Hessville.
I don't live in Hessville, no, but I support the Parrish Avenue overpass, absolutely.
Chief Andy,
it's
how long
critical for
you been a police chief, Andy? How long have you been a Hammond police officer?
37 years.
Have you dealt with this issue in your career?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. My job is life-saving, and with life-saving, I do a lot of response time. And one of the biggest things that we've always had is response time to get to a certain situation. I can name probably 1,000. I know Jeff Long will say something about it later, but there's about 1,000 times that we went to in Hessville area, and I couldn't get to somebody at the appropriate time. One thing that comes to mind, it was a big incident at Greenbrier Apartments. I believe we was over by 165th and Indianapolis when a young lady was getting beat up. Back then we had our own dispatch center. When the lady called to our dispatch center, of course, let me let you know that now the dispatch center is down in the county. But when she called our dispatch center, she was crying. She said, he's beating me up, and our dispatcher was able to hear all of this. The dispatcher told us the address, Greenbrier Apartments. So we jumped in our car, we started heading that way. You can hear this lady crying in the background. You can almost hear the guy hitting her. He just fist to face, just beating. You can hear it. So we were trying to get to it. And the reason why we could hear it because it was an open line, and when they have the open line, we was able to go into our radio, our squawk box, and we was able to hear it. So we get in there. Now remind you, 165th, to get to Greenbrier, we go down 169th, Kennedy, train, block. So we like, okay, smash. We're gonna go to 173rd and to get there, train, couldn't get by. We even go to, Orchard Drive in Grant. We couldn't get to there. We had to go all the way back to Kennedy to get to, 8094 to Klein Avenue. Now, mind you, for the people that lives here in this district here, one of your cars got there before we did, car 11. He shot down Klein Avenue. The issue I have with everything is, what are we sacrificing? What are we sacrificing? If it's you and you live in Hessville, is you willing to sacrifice 4 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes? Because some of the train stays out there at least 30 to 35 minutes. If you want me to get to you, what are you willing to sacrifice? You willing to sacrifice 35 minutes of your time, of your life?
All right, Chief. Thank you. Hey, Jack, you live in Hessville?
Yes.
Could you tell me how you feel about this? How long have you lived where you live?
30 years.
How do you feel about this project?
I feel that it should go through.
Like, everybody's going to say you work for the mayor, right? Like, why do you support it?
Reason why I support it is, I can tell you this, on March 30th of 2021, I had a heart attack on my way home from the gym. My routine route that I would turn would be 173rd to Parrish. I happened to miss that turn that day. I went down to Kennedy Avenue to 169th and headed east toward my house, and there was a train sitting on the tracks. If I was stuck behind that train, I wouldn't be right here, right now, talking to you guys. That left me in the hospital for 3 days. So I'm for the train. Anything for safety, I'm down for it.
I mean, I'm sure you're concerned about the trees, right?
I'm concerned about the trees. It is what it is. I mean, but safety comes first.
Okay, thanks.
I believe in safety.
Sharon, you live right over there, right? Because, like, I think people are making it out like it's all about the mayor's, like...
I am a resident of Hessville.
How long have you lived there? Listen, this isn't your day. You guys get to sit there. Thanks. Hi.
Wait. We've listened to this for over a year. And all of us sitting up here have listened to you. I've lived in Hessville for just shy of 40 years. A block from that location. I have never once gone into those woods. My children were told not to go in those woods. The trains still block the tracks.
Yes, they do. January 5th.
Don't argue. Just talk. Don't argue with them. Just talk.
My grandson, my granddaughter spend the night with me. To get them home, I have to cross the Parrish Avenue tracks. Since school resumed in January, I've had to reroute 3 times. Trains were stopped. It delays me getting them home so they can get to school.
Would you be able to get there?
The trains are still stopped.
Would you be able to get there easier if that bridge was built?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I would be able to get there in a couple of minutes instead of maybe getting the train, seeing it moving, and then going down to Parrish, and then it stops, and then I have to reroute and go around.
Hey, Dean, how many places in Hammond have we built bridges to get over stop trains?
So prior to me, the Holman Avenue Bridge,
Holman
right?
Avenue,
Holman Avenue Bridge.
Kennedy, Columbia. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
There's like
county has bridges all over.
But like in Hammond, we probably have 20 of these bridges because of this very issue in different parts of the city. Because like in downtown Hammond, they built the bridge because you can't develop downtown if everybody's stuck at the tracks all the time, you know?
Indeed, yep. We have bridges all
So, like,
over.
obviously-
There's many locations where bridges are needed, right? Calumet Avenue, right, between Gosselin and Chicago Street. Those trains block all the time,
Yeah.
right? So it's, but it's clear that Hessville is the worst condition, and it has been for decades.
Kevin, in the law, how are they able to do this, Kevin? Like, they could just block Hammond streets and they don't give a crap. How is
Yeah.
that? Like, our officers can't ticket them. Like, how is that possible?
So I'm sure some of the older officers, like I see Chuck Turner out there and Jeff Long and those guys, and they know when they were working patrol, they used to ticket trains. They worked the beat. Guys would be blocking the tracks in Hessville for hours on end, and they would ticket the engineer. And I think at one point, I remember when Hammond City Court was still going, there was a time when I want to say there was over 100 citations, maybe more than that, against, I don't want to blame CSX or Norfolk Southern or whatever, it was one of the big train companies. And one of two things would happen. They would get continued, or there'd be some plea agreement where they'd pay like $1,000 and 97 of them would be dismissed or something. Now, what happened eventually is the train companies got sick of having to come to places like Hammond City Court and like Monon City Court or wherever you were in the state of Indiana, and they started appealing and said that local ordinances are preempted by federal law as it relates to our train companies. In other words, we don't have to do anything regarding paying any citations because they're unconstitutional. They made that argument. It went up to the Indiana Supreme Court. The Indiana Supreme Court agreed with the train companies, and now there is no ability for local communities throughout the state of Indiana to enforce their local ordinances as it relates to stop trains. Only an act of Congress can change that.
So this isn't going anywhere. The trains can do whatever they want in our city.
The refrain that you hear from train companies all the time, and I was just involved in a trial in Chicago for 4 weeks in November, is we were here first. We were here before the people.
Right. I don't trust the train companies. They don't care about you. They don't care about the intersections, your neighborhood. They don't care about the city of Hammond. They're going to do it whatever the hell they want, and there's nothing we can do to stop them. So what America does is they build bridges to get over it, to get over the problem, because it's not going to go away if you stay on the ground level. I got somebody that's going to pay for it for us, and yet I'm still dealing with this. God bless. So I talk to Hammond residents, like my city controller, for instance. You live in Hessville your whole life?
I do, my whole life.
What do you think about this? We're talking, thank you. It's Mayor's Night Out. Enjoy the program.
I've been respectful and listened to everybody, so I just appreciate that same respect. Thank you. So for years. But yeah, I've lived in an area in Hessville that has been directly impacted by the trains over the years. I went to Caldwell, I went to Scott, I went to Morton. I probably could count the days on one hand where I didn't encounter a train at some point. So this oftentimes resulted in me as a teenager driving on 80 and 94, which, as we know, is not the safest thing. But I'm also in an area where I would be impacted if I had a medical emergency. Station 8, which is on the other side of tracks from me, it would have to take the expressway. And I, as Chief mentioned, I'm not willing to give up any minute of my life or my family's life because of a stopped train.
No, I know one thing about you. You care about a lot of things. You care about animals. I know you care about the planet. You care about the environment. And I'm sure when you hear everybody is so concerned about Briar East Woods, I know that there's part of you that like totally feels for them, right?
Yeah.
I know that about you.
I love animals.
I know you do.
Rescue dogs on the daily.
Right. I know you do.
So
like, I know that when you hear this, you're like, I totally get it, but this is more important.
Yes, I agree. And I also think it's important to point out that, I know an underpass has been discussed, but that takes away homes from 9 Hammond residents. And I don't think that that's a point that anybody has really drove in on. I believe, and Dean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I just know what I've read and what I've heard, but I believe our current plan only takes 2.
Right. Correct.
So I mean, who's here to advocate for those other 7 residents, that would be impacted, or the different 9 set that would be impacted by this?
True story. Jim, you live in Hessville? Jim's head of the park department.
Yep, I live in Hessville. I also go down Parish Avenue every day. Usually when I'm, my office is at the Gene Shepherd now, between 6 and 6:30, there's a train there usually every day. It's either stopped or moving, holding me up. I moved back here to Hammond to be with my dad, who's a lot older, and getting back to him, I'm not willing to take up any extra time to get back as well.
Thank you. Juana, you live in Hessville? Juana?
I do live in Hessville. I've been in Hessville for about 25 years. There has been a number of days where I'm late to work because the train is stopped. When the train stops on Kennedy Avenue, it could go all the way down to almost Holman Avenue, going down that way. I would have to go, it would be a caravan of cars following each other, trying to get around the train. When it comes down to pedestrian safety, there was a video that came out maybe last year, a couple years ago, where there was a child going over the train. If that train would have moved an inch or what have you, that child would have probably gotten killed. And when I looked, I knew that child. And it hurt my heart just to see that. So I'm all for the trains.
Thank you. Jaime?
I mean, the bridge.
Right. Jaime?
Yeah. I think I'm a little bit more qualified than anyone in this room because you walk out of my front door and I see the train. You walk to my backyard, I see the train. Literally, that train is not even 100 yards away from me. The people that are denying that it doesn't stop, I see it every day. I have two small kids. Ma'am, it's in my front yard. It's in my front yard. It's in my front yard. I can show you pictures because I've sent pictures to Mayor, said, here it is. Stopped again, stopped again, stopped
if
again.
I bailed on this, if I had somebody that's willing to pay for this, and if I bail on it, would you be mad at me as mayor?
That's a waste of money. That's the worst thing any politician, any person in office can do.
Just walk away from money.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
so
and
listen.
Mayor, and here's the thing: damned if you do, damned if you don't. Right?
Listen, you're not running Mayor's Night Out, ma'am. Sit down. No, you don't stand up and run the show. You have
Ma'am,
to sit down. You
ma'am.
have to sit down. That's not the way it works. This is Mayor's Night Out. It's all right, because there's not much to talk about. I didn't change my mind. There's nothing that's happened recently. Listen, there's nothing that's happened. I'm not going to allow you to follow me from every Mayor's Night Out and blow it up. It's not going to happen. I made my mind up. I've talked to hundreds of people. Listen. You can practice your right to free speech. I'm just choosing not to participate. So I enjoy you all coming to Mayor's Night Out. It's a lovely night. I want to have a nice night. I'm going to go home and eat dinner because I haven't eaten dinner yet. I wish you all a nice evening. Looking forward to driving on the Governor's Parkway Bridge when it's finally built. Thank you all. Have a nice day.